Hey, good evening, y'all. So today we are in El-Deah, the God of knowledge. And for all of those that have started this methylene blue journey like I have, we got the blue tongue going on. Don't mind me if you see my blue tongue. I did it this morning, but it's still there no matter how many times I've brushed my teeth. So bear with me on the blue tongue. So El-Deah, the God of knowledge. And don't we want to have knowledge? And don't we want to follow a God that has knowledge? The name El-Deah comes from the Hebrew words El, which is God, and Deah, which means knowledge. Together they reveal an essential aspect of God's nature. His omniscience and infinite wisdom, unlike human knowledge, which is limited. Our knowledge is limited. God's knowledge encompasses all things, the past, the present, and the future. And he knows not only what is, but also what could be, as well as the inner workings of the human heart. By calling himself El-Deah, God reveals his identity as the ultimate source of all wisdom and understanding. But even though he knows everything that's coming, everything that's going to happen to us, he still gives us free will to do our own bidding. He wants us to do what we're supposed to do. He wants us to have that free will choice. He doesn't take over and determine that he's going to take anything from us. It is our choice for whatever we choose in this life. And that's how we know we're dealing with God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he gives us choice. He doesn't tell us our future. The nature of God's knowledge. God's knowledge is not merely informational. It's relational, purposeful, and active. El-Deah signifies that God's knowledge is perfect, complete, and eternal. It is neither gained nor lost. This sets God apart from any created being, as all knowledge originates from him. He knows every detail of creation, from the movement of galaxies to the number of hairs on each person's head. And we find that in Matthew 10:30. The Bible portrays God's knowledge as a vast and all-encompassing. In Isaiah 40:28, the prophet declares, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. In his understanding, no one can fathom." He is the unsearchable depth of God's understanding. Here, the unsearchable depth of God's understanding is emphasized, showing that his wisdom surpasses human comprehension. We can't comprehend him. He is infinite intelligence. That's what he is. He's the most infinite intelligence. And every time I've ever seen him in an experience or even in my mind's eye, he is the most greatest, brightest, most brilliant white light I've ever seen. He is a bright, bright light. Scriptural foundations of El-Deah. 1 Samuel 2:3. Do not keep talking so proudly or let your mouth speak such arrogance, for the Lord is a God who knows. So he searches our hearts and he knows those of us that are proud and full of pride. El-Deah. And by him deeds are weighed. This verse is a part of Hannah's prayer, acknowledging God as the ultimate judge who knows the hearts of men. His knowledge is not superficial. He sees beyond words and actions, weighing intentions and motives. And then in Proverbs 15:3, the eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. And remember, it rains on the good and the bad just the same. God's omnipresence is tied to his omniscience. Nothing escapes his notice. No thought, no action, no desire. El-Deah sees all things clearly. He knows. Psalms 139, 1-4. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways, because he's madly in love with us. So he knows our behaviors. He knows what upsets you. He knows what hurts your feelings. He knows your favorite color. He knows your favorite food. He knows everything about you. He created you and he loves you so much. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. How great is that? He knows what you're going to say before you say it. David beautifully reflects on the personal nature of God's knowledge. God's understanding is not distant. It is intimate and detailed, showing his deep care for his creation. Hebrews 4:13, nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid before the eyes of him, to whom we must give an account. So we have to give an account for everything we say and every idle word that we use. We will be held accountable for that as I stumble through this. Sorry. This verse reinforces El-Deah as a total insight into all things, making him the ultimate judge and the one who brings all things to light. Isaiah 46, 9 through 10. I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. God's knowledge of the future is complete because he is sovereign. His purposes are fulfilled because his wisdom is perfect. And although he knows what you're going to do, he still gives you free will. That's his gift unto you, that you would make the choice, the perfect choice, to decide what path you're going to take. It's your decision. That's his gift to us. Why God is called El-Deah. God is the source of all knowledge. The Bible begins with the assertion that God is creator of heaven and earth, Genesis 1:1. Creation itself testifies to his infinite knowledge. The intricate design of the universe reflects the wisdom of El-Deah, Psalms 19:1 through 2. God's knowledge guides his sovereignty. God's ability to govern the universe stems from his omniscience. He knows all things and directs them according to his perfect will. Proverbs 3:19 says, by wisdom the Lord laid the earth's foundations. By understanding, he set the heavens in place. God's knowledge is relational. El-Deah is not distant or detached. His knowledge is deeply personal. He knows his people intimately as a shepherd knows his sheep. John 10:14. This personal knowledge leads to God. It's care, guidance, and discipline. Because as a father, don't you discipline your children? Because you love them. You don't want them to run out in front of cars. You spank their bottom and let them know it's serious, right? Same thing. God's knowledge leads to justice. Because God knows all things, his judgments are perfectly just. Unlike human judges who rely on evidence and testimony, God judges based on his complete understanding of every situation and heart. Jeremiah 17:10. And as he showed me, and I explained to somebody just yesterday, his judgment, many call karma. So if you cheat on somebody, next thing you know, somebody that you love deeply will cheat on you. It's an eye for an eye, and a hand for a hand, and a foot for a foot. If you curse somebody somehow, the same curse is going to boomerang back in your life. The thing is you don't know when it's coming. And it'll probably be coming when you least expect it. But his karma is perfect, or his judgment is perfect. That way he teaches you to learn the lessons that we need to love one another. So God's knowledge is a source of comfort and awe. For believers, the knowledge of El-Deah is a source of comfort. He knows our struggles, fears, and desires, even when words fail us. Romans 8:27 reminds us that God knows the mind of the Spirit and intercedes for us according to his will. Implications of knowing El-Deah. Trust in God's wisdom. Believers can rest in the assurance that God's knowledge is perfect. When life seems uncertain, we can trust in his plan, knowing that El-Deah sees the bigger picture. Proverbs 3:5 through 6. Live with accountability. Recognizing that nothing is hidden from God's sight encourages believers to live righteously. Knowing that God weighs every deed and motive calls us to align our lives with his will. Ecclesiastes 12:14. Pursue God's knowledge. Because God is the source of all wisdom, believers are called to seek his knowledge through prayer, study of the word, and obedience. Proverbs 9:10 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." Find comfort in God's omniscience. In times of difficulty, we can take solace in the fact that El-Deah knows our needs before we ask. Matthew 6:8. He is never surprised by our circumstances and has already prepared a way for us. In conclusion, the name El-Deah, the God of knowledge, reveals the vast, perfect, and personal nature of God's wisdom. His omniscience brings comfort, accountability, and awe, reminding us of his sovereign rule over all creation. As we grow in our understanding of El-Deah, we are invited to trust him more deeply, live in alignment with his will for our life, and find peace in his intimate care. Let us seek the knowledge of God, knowing that it leads to life and righteousness, and that can be found in Hosea 4:6. Will you seek God? Will you seek a personal relationship with him? Will you dive in and decide to see what God's knowledge is all about? Will you look to the God of knowledge, El-Deah? And I say this in Yeshua's name.